This is Radio Heartbeats.
This is Play Your Charts Right. Please welcome your host, Mark Pearson.
Hey, welcome once again to Play Your Charts Right. It's nice to see you. Of course, we have two teams in the studio this week, once again, ready to play the game. And if they play their charts right tonight, who knows? One of them might just get lucky. It's a bit different this week. Normally we have Brian and Edward versus Andy. Team Brian versus Team Andy. This week it is mono a mono. They will be butting skulls this week, going head to head. Let's see who can take the point for this week's year in question. Well, if you're listening in the studio and on the wards, you're going to want to know exactly how to play the game, and it's really straightforward. Let me explain. We're going to hear a series of chart clips that have been selected at random by our chart time machine, our CTM. It's here to stay and it's working beautifully. And all the teams have to do is guess whether the chart clip they heard was higher or lower than the last. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we call the game Play Your Charts Right. Now, one thing that's important to remember, when you hear a chart clip and the position, it's always based off the peak chart position that the song reached in the year in question. Hopefully that is nice and clear. Waiting in the wings, though, we have our chart time machine. Let's find out what the year in question is going to be this week.
1962.
We are going back to the 60s this week. 1962 is the year in question. So if you're ready in the studio and on the wards, let's get into it. Let's play this week's edition of Play Your Charts Right. Off we go once again. Time for this week's edition of PYCR. The year in question is 1962. One of the few years we've done where none of the people in the room had been born yet. It's very rare that actually happens.
It's very rare.
This year predating the gentleman in the studio by 3 years. And this week it's mano a mano. It's Team Brian versus Team Andy one-on-one. But as per the rules of PYCR, if you won the week before, you get to go first the week after. And of course, last week's champion was Team Andy. So, Andy, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play you a starter hit. And not only am I going to play you that starter, because I'm so good to you,
going to give him money as well.
I'm not going to give him money. No cash prizes in this game. No rich people. I'm going to tell you the name of that record and the peak chart position that record reached in our golden year of 1962. So, Andy, if you're ready, let's hear your starter hit from 62.
Now she's got Romeo, who by her fancy clothes, but no one can make my sunshine smile.
Andy, your starter hit this week on Play Your Charts Right. In 1962, it's the Everly Brothers with No One Can Make My Sunshine Smile. And in 1962, the peak chart position that record reached was a number 11. So that's your starting point for this week. Now that we've played the starter, we can crack on with the game. It's time for round one. Andy, let's hear your first hit from 1962.
And then the Comancheros came around through the night. They were just stealing and killing, taking everything in sight. Nothing left behind but the blood and the sand. The Comancheros are taking this land.
Andy, your first hit this week, it's Lonnie Donegan with the Comancheros. Was it higher or lower than number 11?
It's got a feel of a song that is a bit of almost like a novelty track. Now, what were novelty tracks like back in those days? I think possibly this might have snuck into the top 10, so I'm going to say it was higher than 11, please, Mark.
Andy's starting the game this week. He thinks that Lonnie Donegan with the Comancheros was higher than a number 11 in 1962. It wasn't. It was 3 places down, Andy. Peak chart position was a number 14 for Lonnie Donegan's Comancheros.
He was on the wane by the early 60s. He peaked in the 50s, really, didn't he?
So no points in round one for Andy. We'll now go over to what we normally say Team Brian, but it's one-on-one this week. Brian Conlon playing all on his lonesome for the first time in quite some time. Is that going to help him as we hear his first hit from 1962?
I'll get over you, baby, although my heart's still sore. though my heart's still sore.
Brian, your first hit from 62, it's Buddy Holly with Reminiscing. Was it higher or lower on its peak chart position than a 14?
Oh, I've never heard that one before, so it was probably low, but 14. I'm going to say higher. Slightly higher.
You heard him debate it. Brian thinks that Buddy Holly with Reminiscing could possibly be slightly higher than a 14 in 1962. Wasn't. Another 3 places down for Buddy Holly. Reminiscing. Peak chart position was a 17 in our golden year. And for the second week in a row, no points in round 1.
I think I talked myself out of a point there.
I think you may well have done. No points in round 1. Let's see how they fare in round 2. Back over to Andy Williams. We're going to give his second hit from 1962 a spin. So, Andy, if you're ready, here it is.
Roses are red, my love. Violets are blue. Sugar is sweet, my love, but not as sweet as you.
Andy, your second hit tonight, it's Bobby Vinton with Roses Are Red, my love.
Those
Higher or
lyrics
lower?
are terrible,
They're
aren't they?
awful, aren't they? Was it higher or lower than a 17 in 1962?
It probably should be lower than Buddy Holly, really. But I'm going to say slightly higher, actually. I think it did better than...
The Beatles
17.
hadn't arrived, so they weren't used to good music.
Yeah, possibly, actually, yeah. So higher, please, Mark.
Okay, Andy thinks that Bobby Vinton with Roses Are Red, my love was higher than a 17 on its peak chart position in 62 for his first point of the game. Is Andy correct? Andy is correct. 2 places up for Bobby Vinton. Peak chart position was a 15 in 62. Andy gets his first point of the game. Okay, back now over to Brian. His second hit is waiting in the wings. I'm going to push the magic button. Let's see what hit the chart time machine has chosen for Brian Conlon in round 2.
And a book of poetry. Tie them with a ribbon made of gold and give them to Cindy. Today is Cindy's birthday.
Brian, your second hit tonight, it's Shane Fenton and the Fentones with Cindy's Birthday. Was it higher or lower than a 15 on its peak chart position?
Again, haven't heard that one, but I think Shane Fenton was quite popular in the early 60s, so I'm going to say higher. Based on who it was and the fact he was,
Is that Alvin Stardust? Really?
Well, not at that point. It became Alvin Stardust.
It became Alvin Stardust, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say higher. Higher than a 15, did you say?
Was it higher or lower than 15?
Higher.
Okay, Brian thinks that Shane Fenton and the Fentones with Cindy's Birthday was higher than a 15 in 62. And he's incorrect. 4 places down this time, Andy, Brian. Shane Fenton and the Fentones with Cindy's Birthday peak chart position was a number 19 in 1962. So that puts Andy Williams into the lead as we make it to the halfway point, round 3. Okay, as this most weeks, Andy, are you ready for your third hit from 1962?
Give it to me, please, Mark.
Let's give him the hit.
But a little bitty tear let me down. Spoiled my act as a clown. I had it made up not to make a frown.
Andy, your third hit tonight from 62. It's Mickey and Griff with Little Bitty Tear. Higher or lower than a 19?
Wow.
Legends.
I genuinely don't know. You're going to have to hit me with the buzzer.
I'm going to have to push you for an answer. Was it higher or lower than a 19? Mickey and Griff, A Little Bitty Tear.
I'm just going to go higher on the basis that it's one of those songs possibly that maybe did better than you think. So higher, please, Mark.
He's explained it. Is it correct? Was Mickey and Griff with Little Bitty Tear higher than a 19 in 1962? It was 3 places up, number 16 for Little Bitty Tear, and he gets a second point in round 3 of Play Your Charts Right. The year is 1962. That's the year in question. The machine has chosen. Let's go back over now to Brian Conlon. Let's play his next hit from 62. Let's give it a spin.
The whole night through, you're cheating hard.
Brian, Brian Conlon, your third hit from 1962. It's Ray Charles with Your Cheating Heart. But the big question is, in 62, did it peak higher or lower than a 16?
Higher. Ray Charles, legend.
Brian goes straight in with higher. Is he correct? Was Ray Charles with Your Cheating Heart higher than a 16? It was. Brian's confidence was not misplaced there. Peak chart position. He was 3 places up. He was a number 13 in 62.
Thank you, Ray.
Brian gets his first point of the game. Thank you to Ray Charles. As we go into round 4, back over now to Andy. There is still everything to play for in this week's edition of PYCR. I'm going to push the button and play the hit. Andy, here's your 4th hit from 62.
And though it hurts me so to go on sharing you, I know my helpless heart.
Andy, hit number 4 from 62. It's Bobby V with Sharing You. Was it higher or lower than a 13?
Bobby V. Now, Bobby V, I've heard of Bobby V, but then I've heard of Bobby Vinton as well, actually. I'm going to say possibly slightly higher, but maybe not top 10. So, higher, please, Mark.
That's his final answer. That's the answer I'm going to take. He thinks that Bobby V with Sharing You was higher than a 13 on its peak chart position in 1962. For his 3rd point of the game in 4 rounds, has Andy made the correct decision? He has. 3 places up for Bobby V with Sharing You. Peak chart position was number 10 in 1962. 1 point for Andy. Right, we're still in round 4. We've got a 4th hit lined up for Brian Conlon. Let's find out what it's going to be.
I don't know why I love you like I do. Oh, I don't know why, but I do.
Brian, your 4th hit, it's Eden Kane with I Don't Know Why. Higher or lower on its peak chart position than a 10?
Eden Kane, yes, I'm going to say higher.
Brian's going straight in with higher. He thinks that Eden Kane with I Don't Know Why was higher than a 10 in 1962. Can we give him the point? We certainly can. 3 places up again. Peak chart position was a 7 for Eden Kane's I Don't Know Why in 1962. And we've now made it to the final round, which could make or break the game. Will there be a winner? Will there be a tie break? Let's find out as we hear Andy Williams's final hit from 1962.
Okay, my darling, I'll change each bit. I only wanna love you as you like it.
Andy, your final hit from 1962 in round 5 of Play Your Charts Right. It's Adam Faith with As You Like It. Was it higher or lower than a 7 on its peak chart position in that year?
Oh, Adam Faith, now he was in movies as well. Now, whether he was in around that time or not, but I know he was a popular guy. I've got a feeling this could have even been top 5, you know, so I'm going to go higher to finish off 1962, please, Mark.
You heard him get the answer. Andy thinks, to finish off his game, that Adam Faith with As You Like It was higher than a 7 in 1962. Andy, if you get this correct, you've won the game. Was it higher than a 7? It was. It was 2 places up. Peak chart position was a number 5 in 1962. So Andy has won the game. We now go back over to Team Brian. We've got one last hit to play for Brian. Let's see if he can get a consolation point. Let's hear the final hit from 1962 on this week's Play Your Charts Right.
Sherry, baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight?
Brian, your final hit from 1962 on Play Your Charts Right this week. It's The Four Seasons with Sherry. Was it higher or lower than a 5 on its peak chart position in 62?
Well, it's a legendary song. I'm going to go higher.
Brian's going straight in with higher for a consolation point. Was The Four Seasons with Sherry higher than a 5 in 1962?
Oh, wait.
What a disappointing result for The Four Seasons that was. In 1962, the peak chart position they reached, it was 3 places down, and it reached a number 8. So that is this week's edition of Play Your Charts Right. we have a very clear winner this week, 4 points to 2. Andy Williams storms ahead. He gets one more point. You're now 8-3 ahead, I think, though, aren't you?
8-3. 8-3. Let's say it again.